Dewey here joining us, and I'm sure they'll be in and out playing with each other back and forth. But I'd like to kind of set this up and thank everybody for joining us today. We've been kind of silent over the past few months, but that's because we've been heads down developing and creating some amazing things that I'm sure you guys are all going to enjoy in the near future. So let me start off by talking about how we are going to structure this talk today. So we've been collecting questions from our community. What we're going to do is we're going to read out the questions and who asked those questions and answer them the best that we can. After we go through all of the questions, we're going to show you guys little snippets of our roadmap and some of the development that we've been doing, and then we'll take some more questions. So let me dive right into it and start off. First question that we have here is from Jeffrey. His question is, blockchain technology-wise, what is already in the current build? He asks about atomic swaps. I don't think we've ever had atomic swaps, but I'm going to let Patrick kind of answer this question.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. So in terms of what we have in terms of blockchain technology in our application, essentially, is that a user now can be able to deploy on Ethereum and RSK our token and crowdfund contract and be able to contribute using that. In terms of atomic swaps, we don't have that although cross-chain technology in the future, when it gets developed and actually works, we will probably think about actually implementing that on the application. Do you have anything to add onto that, Jeff?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Did we talk about some of the features we're putting in, like the voting, dividends, royalties, non-fungible assets that's all on the roadmap? Do you want to talk about that after?
More like contract related rather than like specific
Okay.
blockchain. I think the question steers more towards like which blockchains we're going to use.
Perfect. That's why Jeff's the technical lead. There we go.
I can read.
Okay, so next question, also from Jeffrey. He asks, what is it that makes you guys look different? What is it that makes you guys look at different blockchains, for example, ICX, OneChain, or any others? And what do they need to have to get attention by Etherparty to get us to integrate on their platform? So, I mean, what we're really looking for are blockchains that are widely used, that are going to offer real-world solutions and have real tech behind them. So we thoroughly vet every blockchain that comes to us, but we will always consider something new that's coming down the pipe. I don't know if any of you guys want to add to that.
Yeah, so hi guys. I think something we look at is definitely like adoption and actually people using it. The reason we went with Ethereum first is because it's the most popular one and it's what people are doing. And if we're going to make a product, you target that. And if other blockchains gain serious adoption, we'll look at them as well. Rootstock was a natural fit as well because it uses Solidity as a source space for the language. You can also use the same sort of RPC client technology with it. It's a very easy switch over. Things like that are definitely what we look at. We want to try and support everything we can, but we also want to make sure the contracts and blockchains that we are using are as robust as possible before moving on to later ones. So once we get Ethereum and Rootstock down pat, we launch, we're happy with them, we'll definitely look at what seems to be the next up and coming trends.
Yeah, to add to that, on our side, it's the easiest right now and the lowest hanging fruit to go for EVM compatible blockchain. So, others out there, namely like Quantum and others, we can definitely look into and go further with that. And we've already had some people in the community ask for that. Also, we want to get what you guys want in the sense of if you guys have some ideas of which blockchain we want to go to, and are really excited about it, and we thoroughly vet them, of course. We look at the adoption that they have. The developer community also, how are they, is it like a group of 3 people, or are we talking about like a full community as Ethereum is? We really are stressing that, we want to make sure that we build a good product and that every single contract that we deploy on any blockchain actually will survive for 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, depending on how the blockchain projects go. So really make sure that those projects are solid, essentially.
Perfect. Okay, and the third and last question from Jeffrey was, which chain is the third blockchain that you're going to deploy on? So, as you know, we're already deploying on Ethereum and Bitcoin through RSK. The third one that we're going to actually talk more about later is Hyperledger, and that's for supply chain management. So now we're going to go to a question from Nikolai. I'm probably going to brutal your last name. Shikarev. Sorry, probably didn't pronounce that properly, but his question is, how do you differentiate and going to differentiate Etherparty from competitors like Blockcat and Agrello? So let me go to my two guys here. Let them go.
First of all, for me, from what we're building is that we're looking at more than just like the consumer base. We're also looking at businesses. So right now, for our first product, we're looking at startups, contributors, and small businesses for them to create a crowdfund and be able to be funded. In the future, as we're more developing supply chain, we're looking straight up for B2B applications here. So we're taking a bigger piece of the pie and building applications and products directly that help those businesses and alleviate those problems. Also, I mean, we're also, like as we said, we're blockchain agnostic. So already we're on 2 blockchains from our demo. We're on 2 blockchains already for our application right now, and we're going to build on more, as you guys just heard. So that definitely sets us apart. And also, one of the main things, and I have to give a huge props to our team, our product team, is that, as you guys all know, blockchain is incredibly hard for a normal person to come in and start with. Everyone, I'm sure you yourself at home or us here, went a bit down the rabbit hole to understand what's going on and how to make it work and how to actually just make a transaction. So our product team worked really, really hard at making our application extremely easy to use, extremely easy to either contribute or create a contract, and really like softening the blockchain learning curve. So that's definitely something that will set us apart. Think of what Coinbase did for buying cryptocurrency. We're doing that for creating smart contracts. Yeah.
So this question actually comes up a lot in terms of what's different between Etherparty and other smart contract, easy-to-use applications that are out there. We're likened to Agrello a lot and Blockcat. And I have to say that our commitment to usability is the main differentiator that makes Etherparty different, whether it will be called Etherparty in the future and whatever chain that we're on. And it speaks to the growth of our product team and our research team, as well as the focus of our development team to my left here, that we're really looking and committed to how we can make smart contracts easy to use, and whatever use case that may be, and however people reach that in whatever chain it's on.
I'd like to also touch on that as a deployer of smart contracts. I can't say anything about Blockcat or Agrello regarding this, but for us, we feel like an ethical responsibility to deploy. If a contract's going to get deployed 1,000 times, 10,000 times, a couple hundred times, that's going to really enter the market, and it's going to shake things up, and that's going to be a template that's followed. We want to make sure that these templates make sense, they're responsible, and they're ethical, and we're looking forward to the future for, if anyone hasn't heard of Vitalik's like a decentralized autonomous ICO, that's something we're very interested in, ideas like this, ways we can reverse risk and get people interested in contributing and the market again. And so that's definitely like a big focus, at least for our team.
Perfect. Question number 2. What are your unique killing features which you are going to release to fight the competition? I guess this all kind of goes in the same thing. So I think we've kind of addressed and talked about that one, unless there's anything else to kind of add. Yeah, there we go, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I really like our automated testing service. We're going to be deploying the tests or deploying the contracts after they've been tested on internal test networks here, which is great. I think this saves a lot of time in the long run. As someone who's made a lot of contracts and you have to rewrite the tests for the same ones over and over, I think it just makes sense to have an environment where it's natural to be tested before they get deployed. So this is going to be, I don't know if anyone else is really working on something like this, but we are, and we're really proud of it so far. So that's really cool.
One thing in general also is that we're building products that are full end-to-end, so a user can also fully manage the contract and interact with it afterwards when it's deployed. With that also, we're the ones that create those contracts. We're the ones that also, we're sending them to auditors and making sure that they're fine. But if ever there's a problem in the Solidity compiler or a problem in general with on the protocol level or the language, well, we're there to also be able to send an email or notify all of our users that have deployed those contracts and have a mitigation strategy for any of that. So think of the different exploits that happened in the past. Those we will have like a dedicated team that will remediate and be there to help out essentially.
So adding to that, one of our promises is that we will have the best support in blockchain, and Kagan over here will make sure that that's the case. And to add to that, I mean, these guys are building actual software products that medium to large scale businesses can use in a SaaS model, not just contracts that can be deployed by a company one time. These are contracts that can be used over and over again in different business models in different industries as we continue to develop. So next question was, how many people do you have in marketing? Well, as you know, Etherparty is a Vambex Group product, and Vambex Group as a whole, we have now over 55 staff and hiring daily. But specifically to Etherparty, we do have 4 people in-house. We've hired 2 new marketing companies that have started this week, and we have a big marketing push that is going to be starting to happen right now up until our launch and after our launch. Lisa, did you want to talk on that?
I think like the way we approach marketing and the way it has been done in the past has been shifting. And one of the key hires that we've made recently is a growth marketer who's going to be focusing on more of the metrics of how we can acquire users that are specifically in the target market that we want to go after. And that's the reason why our team is very concentrated, but also we're using data to power our decisions.
All right, I'll continue answering. Okay, next set of questions come from Paul Rigby. When will there be a live product that can be used? So our slated date right now is for May to June. Next question, will the product support the creation of ERC20, 223, and ST20 tokens? Patrick, do you want to?
Yep, there you go.
So all of our tokens by default are ERC20. That's the normal standard that we have for Ethereum. As for ERC20, 223, a user will be able to decide if he wants to add that little feature. It's just another function in the contract itself. The SC20, that's a very good question. It's not yet a standard, so it came out from Polymath actually, and it's out there. There's multiple different standards out there. There's the R token, and another one from Harbor. So when a standard has been decided and that people want to go forward with it, you can bet that we'll have it and we'll be able to deploy those contracts no problem. Just as right now, there's a bit of uncertainty there, so everyone's making their own kind of security token at this point.
Well said.
Perfect. And also, we will be creating tokens on RSK and then Hyperledger assets that represent tokens within Hyperledger. So will the Creator Suite allow security token terms to be baked in, i.e. dividend, voting, and profiles? Eventually it will be, and that's all in our roadmap, which we'll show you guys after the question period. How will the creation of a token as part of an issuance be priced, i.e. percentage of stated raise? Patrick, I think you handled that one.
So I think the question is it's asking about what are the issuance models that we use. So the first issuance model that we're coming out with is the crowdfund creator is the one that decides essentially where those allocations go. It's the simplest model to have, and it's the simplest one for people to understand. In our roadmap, we're also looking at different models like reverse Dutch auctions, goal-oriented ICOs, and as Jeff pointed out before, the ICO, decentralized ICO model, where essentially you have to reach your goal to be able to be funded by the community itself. Do you want to add to more models?
I can just give a little explanation, a little more like in-depth answer to that question with some specifics. So like if you're talking about an issuance as a total amount of tokens, this is all input data you're going to put into the contract form. So you're going to say I have, you know, 1 million tokens and I'm selling 10% of them this week, 10% of them the next week, 10% of them the next week. This equals 30% of your total tokens. The extra 70% get divvied back to the deployer of the contract, which is you. And it works the same way a normal ICO would work. It's just that we provide an easy form and an easy way to deploy it. It's up to the creator of the ICO to determine what those percentages are. Allocations for marketing, allocations for legal, allocations for the crowdfund itself. Even a pre-sale is doable. The decentralized autonomous version coming in the future would be different, and it would have release stages for the different tokens, and it would require like on-blockchain transparency. I think that's the biggest difference, and it's something we're really excited about.
Perfect. Okay. Next question is from Key, from actually our Chinese group. How many fuel tokens? How many fuel tokens the EP team has or is holding now, and how many are in the market? I was asking for a specific percentage. Well, the total Etherparty team was allocated 50 million tokens spread out between everybody, and absolutely none of them are in the market right now because they're still locked. So for that question there, none. Next question, Paulus Salim. What is the update for Q2? Any deliverable that can be launched? How's Chewy doing? I don't know. Can we get Chewy? Someone, yeah? Is it Chewy? Let's see how Chewy's doing. Chewy! Come on over, Chewy.
How you doing?
Someone got some treats. How you doing,
Chewy?
Chewy? So, there we go. Okay, so Chewy's doing great. So now let's talk about the deliverables for Q2. We'll get Patrick and Jeff for this one here. Here we go.
Well, the deliverable for Q2 is the big one, is the actual first launch of the platform. So in terms of that, I think that answers the question. But where are we at and what's the next week, I guess, update is, so we just came back from Token Fest where we had a small demonstration of what we have so far. People are very happy about it. We actually had people come on over and companies that were interested in just in using it. In terms of that also, I mean, the guys right in the back, you can't see them. They're behind monitors. Hi. Hi. No, nothing. Hi.
Headphones on.
Hi. There you go. These guys are working hard right now at, I mean, we should be there right now.
Unbelievably, they might find this distracting.
Yeah, it might be a bit. Oh, nice.
It is Friday, so it is Creatives Afternoon.
So yeah, these guys are working hard. I mean, on the front end, we styled a lot last week, and we're refactoring from what we did. And then at this point on the back end, also we're testing out deployment strategies on the staging servers right now, and then adding a few features that we still need to add at this point. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Sure. Let's talk a bit about what the deliverable actually is. People might say, like, our beta came out with 3 contracts. We're launching with 1 now. I think I've heard this in the community before, so I just want to say what we're actually launching, basically. The platform is robust. The platform is awesome, and it can deploy any contract, and it can test contracts very easily. This is where the majority of the work has been in. The contract itself we're deploying is a very standard ICO contract like you see outside of Etherparty, one you'd use. That's basically, we want to emulate what the market is using. But this platform makes it easy for us to launch additional contracts, and that's the really cool thing. So once we launch this, the big deliverable, in my mind, is the platform itself, and then we were able to roll out really cool contracts as we iterate and decide whether the market needs these contracts. So the deliverable is really the ecosystem.
Okay. Next question we have is from Raymond. Raymond asks, looking at your brand identity and proposition, it is difficult to match your company name Etherparty with your professional business solutions. In my opinion, a rebranding to a more mature, serious professional brand identity would make it easier for potential clients to identify with you. Is the current name and corporate branding and possible rebranding something you have investigated and willing to consider and or adapt so that your exposure matches your business offering? It's a great question, Raymond. And it is something that we have been thinking about for the past probably 6 months. So happy you brought that up. We have hired some companies, which I spoke about earlier, that are helping us with a rebrand. As we're going to be on multiple...
ICO cream.
And also, as Jeff was just mentioning about our platform, we're able to launch many smart contracts on many different blockchains. So Etherparty doesn't really speak to our brand at all. So what we are going to offer to the community is actually a competition. You know, we ourselves have been floating around a lot of names, and we want to hear from the community what you guys think that the new name for Etherparty should be on the rebrand, and we're going to offer the winner 10,000 fuel for the whoever picks the best name. So that's out there in the community. Crypto Bubble on Telegram is going to have a list. He's going to collect everybody's names, emails, and suggestions for the name, and when we've picked the winner, we're going to announce it. Lisa, did you want to add anything to that or anything? How's it going over there? Just sitting pretty. Okay.
Maybe what's the story behind Etherparty? Like the name itself.
Okay. These are questions from the community, not from you, Patrick.
sorry.
Okay.
Go to your computer, type it in.
Yeah. Anything to add on this, or should I move to the next question?
I can add something. So we've been thinking long and hard about what we should call Etherparty, because we do agree that Etherparty has a sense of, fun and a little bit of, maybe immaturity, or just, it's not really a corporate brand that we want to and can go forward with. So, yes, we have been thinking about rebranding. No, we have not decided what it will be yet.
Thanks, Patrick. So next question is from Zhang Fang. How could a good project like EP stay at the price under ICO for such a long time? Well, we actually aren't, but if you look at the entire market, there's a lot of fallout in this market now. And I'm happy to talk about many different reasons of why the market is kind of tumbling to where it is. Not sure if this is the forum for that, but I'll be putting out some blogs soon to kind of talk about that. Etherparty itself, Fuel itself, has actually done quite well compared to the rest of the market. And the real demand for the token is going to be when the product launches and people want to use the product. And we've always kind of stayed to that same kind of thought process. As soon as we have large demand, which we already do, and the product gets launched, you're going to see people going to the market to purchase fuel. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that.
Touch in a bit on that. Sure. Yeah, so like Kevin said, the whole market kind of crashed, and I think the cool thing about fuel is that it might be one of the ones that goes up again heavily, because we're thinking about ways to get people interested in the market again, like I mentioned earlier with deploying DA ICO contracts and things like this. There's obviously a heavy wave of skepticism right now that comes with ICOs and crypto, especially after the last year. And to return it to a healthy norm, I think the current model needs to change. And the people that are thinking about this are going to be the people who lead the next wave. And we're really trying to be that. So while the market might all be down now, it's the people who are thinking about changing it that are going to be the ones that survive and last a year or so. And that's going to be us.
And I'll actually just talk on that too. So when ICOs or token sales started, there was a barrier to entry for people to get in. That barrier of entry was Bitcoin or Ether. People needed to purchase Bitcoin or Ether to then purchase the token and the crowdfund that they supported. Recently, with a lot of traditional funds and VCs and stuff that's come into the market, they've been having no barrier to entry to come in. If you look at the Telegram ICO that's happening right now, they actually don't accept cryptocurrency at all in their sale. And what that does is that actually hurts the market in a massive way. You have a double spend on crypto and no spend to actually get into the market. So that means that people in the Telegram ICO or any ICO that just accepts fiat currency, they get a token, they then have to sell that token into Bitcoin or Ether in order to get back to fiat to get out of the market. And that has been causing a big decline in our market today. And something you should be very aware of, if you're going to be supporting token sales in the future, if they're not accepting Bitcoin or Ether, then it's probably a red flag and you want to stay out, because that means that there is no demand for cryptocurrency for those sales. So that's another reason why the market has kind of been plummeting to date. So ZG, again from the Chinese group, says, can you introduce the business model of EP, explain the profit model, and BEP? I'll just touch on it, and then I'll let Lisa kind of talk about this. But the EP business model is very simple. It's a combination of a SaaS model and a pay-per-use model, depending on what the consumer will be creating. Lisa, did you want to talk a little bit more about that?
So when Etherparty was first conceived, we'd always dreamed about bringing software as a service to the blockchain. And how we can really do that is through the automation of smart contracts by the use of automating payments, as well as tracking the actual usage the user does with the application. And as we mature Etherparty, whatever it may be called in the future, we'll start to see a hybrid of both software as a service payment models, subscription models, and the integration of smart contracts to support that.
Thanks, Lisa. So next question, same person, ZG. When do you expect to turn your first profit? What are your expected profit margins? Well, so in the business plan, we are expecting to turn a profit in the next 12 to 18 months. The margin will be heavily based on the adoption of the platform and which smart contracts are going to get adopted first. So at first it's the Rocket, which will be our token creation platform. If we get a heavy surge in people wanting to do token sales, then the profit margins are going to be very high. If it slows down like it is in the industry right now, it's going to be less. And as we introduce more contracts like supply chain and other big partners in that realm, that is going to affect our profit margins then. Okay. Next question. Zhao Zhu. How could the ICO platform of EP deal with some countries' legal limitations? I guess I'll take this one again. Any projects that build on Etherparty, they will have to adhere to their country's laws and regulations, depending on where they're going to launch their token sale. So that's really up to the project's building. We're just merely providing a service, a technical service for these projects.
And we will be allowing like an in-app whitelisting as well, feature will be helpful.
We will. Did you want to talk about?
So our goal is to be a technology provider, and we want to support ideas out there on a global scale. And so we do encourage projects when they're coming to use Etherparty and our initial Rocket tool that they should also have legal counsel. But we're going to provide them with the tools and as much technology that they can use so they can make an informed decision about the legality and the regulatory environment that they're in.
Jeff, did you want to touch on those?
No, that's basically what I wanted to say. But yeah, something like that. Like every country is going to have different regulations, and that's something that you go through whether you make an ICO through us, whether you make an ICO yourself, or you contact us, Solidity Freelance Dev. The difference is we can provide you those forms and fields in an easy-to-use place, just like how you're creating the contract itself, and get rid of some of the complexity there. So we definitely plan to enable you to do it in whatever country you're in, and to have your ICO run in whatever country it's in. But the due diligence will still be on you to make sure that the legal ramifications are dealt with.
Yeah, like you said, we'll provide the the service up as much technology as we can up until legal comes in. But then also, if you need help and if you need to contact anyone, we want to have the best customer service possible. So just contact us, ask us. We've been in this space since 2013, so we know how this works. And you can always rely on Vanbex/Etherparty to do this.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Next question is from Suffering Gerlap. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, so we'll just ask the question. So it's will smart contracts in EP platform charge by fixed number of fuel or USD? So simple answer is we charge in USD. We peg that price to fuel, which will be an automatic sort of peg at whatever the fuel price is at that time. I guess I can let Patrick expand on that and Jeff expand on that if you want, or.
That's about it, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything on the platform, you have to pay with fuel. Doesn't matter what it is, what contract it is, you have to pay with fuel. But we will be integrating easy-to-use options, like our new partnership with Coin Payments, which we recently integrated into the platform, will allow you to purchase fuel with, I think they have 265 different cryptocurrencies that you can use to purchase fuel to then purchase your product or service on Etherparty.
Or if you have fuel already, you can pay directly with it.
That's right. Yeah. And we're hoping that you have fuel already and you can start using it on the platform as soon as possible. Yi Bao Bao asks, could EP go to some new exchange easy for Chinese to use like Huboy or OKEX? So guys, everybody out there in the community, if you want to see fuel traded on any other exchange, the best way to do that is to get everybody to go to those exchanges and say, hey, we want to trade fuel. You do that, and that's when they're going to pay attention, and they're going to start listing fuel. It's really up to them. And a lot of exchanges are inundated with hundreds and hundreds of coins trying to get listed, and the only way that they're going to listen is if the community goes and says, we want to trade. So go out there, go to all your exchanges, and tell them that you want to trade fuel, and that's how to get listed.
I'd like to add to the exchange part. I'd like to add to the question just in general, the part for Chinese to use, for Chinese people to use easily and to understand what's going on. So we've been having some pretty amazing feedback from our demo that we had, and we're still getting some from people asking if EP is going to be in different languages. And yes, it's on the roadmap. We're going to translate our website, so it's going to be easy for anyone to be able to come in and do it. We understand that crypto is a worldwide market. It's not the Western world. It's way more than that. So we want to make sure that we have different languages for them. So I just want to hit on the accessibility side.
Thanks. Yes. Okay. Next question. Diane Fuel. What is EP's plan for marketing, especially for the Chinese market? Will EP have a lock-up plan and give some bonus? So great question. Touch on marketing again. We are starting a big push on marketing, especially in China, where we've just recently hired a new community manager, Yang, who's running that community, and a group. Hi, Yang. Out of Shanghai, that's ran by a great group of supporters who we've talked to in the past. The two new marketing companies that we've recently hired, one of their mandates is the Chinese market and marketing there. As we're going to have a bonus, so I did talk about the naming bonus or contest that we're going to have. We're going to be announcing another contest here shortly on Etherparty, which we are going to be giving away to the winner, to the best token crowdfund that wants to be done on Etherparty. A free, basically, ICO services, marketing, token creation, crowdfund, ICO, the whole gamut, done on Rocket, will be given out for free, and we'll be announcing that contest in the next coming weeks.
So just to further from Kevin's point, we're looking for the cream of the crop projects that are going to be doing a token sale soon. And we want you to tell us why you think that you should be on Etherparty. And we're going to give you all the tools and all the resources you need to properly do a token sale with our technology. So send us your info.
And you know what, guys? We're always looking for suggestions. If you in the community have any suggestions about where we should be marketing, who we should be using, if you yourselves out there are marketers anywhere, approach us. We're always hiring good people, and we're always looking to work with good people. So any suggestions are always welcome. So Ren Hia asks, does EP have a plan for cross-chain technology? I guess this is kind of in line with the atomic swaps. Patrick kind of already answered this, but did you want to kind of reiterate kind of what you said?
So we're still in the very early stages of cross-chain technology. So at this point, we don't have it in the roadmap at this point. But if there's a huge demand and being able to, one thing that we'll be able to is a person will be able to contribute with different coins or to a single ICO. So you can use fuel or whatnot to create a smart contract on either RSK or Ethereum or another platform, and he's going to be able to use fuel also to interact with those contracts. So already we're kind of helping in that sense, but those cross-blockchain technology are not there yet for us to implement.
We're definitely keeping an eye on atomic swap and cross-chain technology. We're super interested in things that Blockstream is doing in Lightning Network. The thing is that as we're building out the roadmap, we're looking for technology that's mature enough for us to feasibly assign resources and have a proper timeline. And so when that technology becomes at a point where we can feasibly say it's mature enough, we'll definitely be implementing it.
So yeah, remember, Etherparty's whole mandate is to make blockchain easy to use for everyone. And if cross-chain technology becomes something that everybody wants to use, you can bet that we're going to integrate it. Once Roger asks, all of the tokens will be unlocked at the end of the month. The team plus previously unsold tokens, nearly 50% of the total. Are they going to be dumped into the market? Simple answer, no, they are not going to be dumped in the market. We have a mandate where all of the tokens that are sitting on the platform can only be sold on the platform for a premium to whatever that traded price will be in the marketplace, so that there's no arbitrage opportunities. Now, once the team gets their tokens, I'm pretty sure that I know what they're going to do with them. I can't speak for them, but we all feel very confident about this product and where fuel is going. Anybody? Yeah, of course.
Just so everyone understands what the previously, it says here, the previously unsold tokens, the ones referring to those are on the platform. Those don't just go to like Kevin's wallet or something like this. That's when you go to the Etherparty and you buy fuel from us, that's where they come from. We don't have the authority to move them and leave them and stuff like this. They're reserved for this as per our white paper. So they can't enter the market. They can't even really leave the Etherparty platform itself. They're there for you to be able to buy them, not on an exchange.
That's correct. And eventually, when we take in a lot of fuel tokens as our for the cost of our services, we will have to put some back into the market, but we'll be doing that on the platform.
Yeah, and in a staggered release.
That's right. So Steve Chen asks, how many ETH have you spent so far? We know from your public addresses from the contract and the wallet from the private sales. So if you can see our the public sale wallet, you can see that nothing has been moved. In our private sale, we took in a new number of different types of tokens as well as fiat currency in that to add to our total. And I can promise you guys that we have been very good with the use of proceeds. We still have a lot in our war chest. We're not worried about funds right now, but we have exchanged Ether for fiat in order to pay everybody that you see here, get in new offices, the conferences we've been going to, the marketing expenditures, and continued growth with Etherparty. But we've been very good with managing our money, and we are going nowhere. I don't know if anybody wants to touch on that. No? No? Yeah, we are here for the long run. Everybody is.
We are going nowhere.
We are going nowhere.
Etherparty.
Perfect. So, KLNG asks, how is fuel better than any other cryptocurrencies out there? I guess I'll start, and probably everybody is going to have an opinion on this one. But fuel has a real need, a real use. It's inherent to our platform. Without fuel, you're not going to be able to do anything like create smart contracts on our platform on any of the different blockchains that we're going to be working on. So its real value is in its utility. Patrick?
Yeah, just what you touched about. Essentially, being able to have one token where you can deploy on your RSK on Ethereum and you can interact with those contracts. That's pretty powerful already. And yeah, that's my main reason why I'm going to keep my fuel.
Yeah, fuel does what it says on the box. It's actually going to be useful. We're gonna be releasing soon, so you can actually use it, which is I think above most cryptocurrencies out there, and we'll prove it by May or June when we launch.
I'll add to that by saying a quote from a book from my childhood, and it's from The Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien, and it's "Fuel is the one coin to unite them all."
Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense because you're going to need fuel to pay for the gas on any blockchain that we're on. So, yeah, there we go. Okay, so demand supply. How will we attract individuals and commerce to use Etherparty smart contracts? So this is, again, goes with our marketing plan that we've talked about, as well as our business development plan. Going out speaking with small, medium, and large-scale companies who are going to use smart contracts for their everyday business and to solve the problems that they're having with different use cases. And we're already on that. We have many partnerships that we're going to be announcing in the coming months that I think everybody's going to be excited for. But that'll speak to what we're doing to attract new users to Etherparty. Don't know if anybody wants to.
On our part, and I think I can speak for the team and the product team here, is simply making it easy. Blockchain is so hard. How many of your parents actually are using or have Bitcoin? My parents cannot even understand that. I want them to be able to use our platform and to be able to create those smart contracts, and that's the aim. By making it easy, just like Coinbase did, everyone's going to flock in. That's my view on that. Anyone want to add in?
How will we attract individuals and commerce to use Etherparty and smart contracts?
What is your favorite Lord of the Rings quote?
One coin to unite them all. So how are we going to attract users and essentially people to Etherparty? And that's like our strong use case identification. We're so set on building solid product that we're focused around how people can use this, whether it's companies, people, governments. And that's how we firmly believe people will come in and find our platform, through use cases.
Okay. Next question is from Adnan R. Are you first focusing on Ethereum contracts, or will you be working on contracts for other blockchains? So that's pretty simple. I mean, first is Ethereum, and then we're moving on to others. Jeff? Yeah.
Yeah, we basically, just to answer the question directly, we mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Ethereum and Rootstock we're good with now, looking at other ones as they evolve and adoption is necessary.
So next one from Adnan. When the platform is launched, is that the moment potential clients can buy smart contracts? Yes. As soon as it's launched, you'll be able to use Etherparty or Rocket application to launch your crowdfund immediately. Anything to kind of add to that one? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, more
More contracts coming.
Yeah, more contracts.
Yeah, as we grow and add more features on Rocket, there's going to be more contracts. There's going to be different products coming out that have different verticals and are focusing on different things. Yeah, definitely. As soon as it's out, you can go for it.
And we will be adding more and more features to every product. So just as soon as we release a product doesn't mean that that is the end product. It's going to continue to evolve as the market evolves and people's needs change. So CS asks, what do blockchain companies need to do to sign up with Fuel, and is there a limit to which blockchains are compatible? Okay, so companies basically need to come on the platform, sign up an account, deposit Fuel or purchase Fuel on the platform or in the market to be able to use Etherparty. And right now, as we've talked about, we are compatible with Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Hyperledger, and focusing on other blockchains as they become more widely available and used. Jeff?
I'm not sure if what do blockchain companies need to do to sign up with Fuel. I'm not sure if that question means how do you get your blockchain listed on Etherparty or how do you register. So you answered how do you register. If you want to work with us, send us an email and talk with us for sure. We work directly with the Rootstock team to integrate them into our app. Obviously, it was a time saver. It was mutually beneficial on both ends. So send us an email. That's what you do.
Also, just on the, do you need to sign up with Fuel? So Fuel is used to pay for the creation of the contract. You can sign up for free and be on the platform and look at the platform.
His next question, or her next question, is about exchanges again. Again, guys, just to reiterate, you want to see Fuel on different exchanges, contact those exchanges, tell them how much you want to trade Fuel there, and that's the best way to get on. So Alex asks, what is the ballpark price for the token creation using EP? So it's not just token creation that Rocket's going to do. It's going to be an all-in-one service that is going to create your ICO page, your crowdfunding contract, watch contracts, marketplace listing, and some marketing that all kind of go into the product, kind of like a one-stop shop for everything that you need to do to launch your crowd sale. Patrick, I don't know if you guys want to add to that before I kind of talk about what the rough price is going to be.
I can give a little overview of what you're going to get. Yep. So you can deploy a contract, like you said. You make your contract. After that, we've got it doesn't really end there. So you've got contribution funnels in app. People can see if you mark your crowdfund public. People can contribute directly in app. This is from their Fuel balance in wallet as well. So it simplifies the contribution process. You could basically deploy your own contract and contribute without having really to interact with the blockchain once you've deposited your cryptocurrency into the app. You can also market from within the app. We can arrange your team members and things like this. There's a lot of parts of the form that aren't for the actual contract. They're for the benefit of your product afterwards. It also comes with support because I think the biggest problem everyone has with crypto is they get stuck on a page, they don't understand one of the questions, and then they don't know what to do. There's nobody to phone, right? You can't phone your bank. We want to be a resource for you to be able to call. We have Kagan, our new support guy, is handling. Come say hi. Yeah. So we've set up like Intercom and Sentry for him, and he's going to be there responding directly. He's going to have a team under him. We know that support is one of the biggest problems in the industry, and when I ran the pre-sale here last year, I answered so many emails coming in, and most of them were very basic questions, and there's no fault for not knowing it, but if nobody's going to do anything to expedite the process of getting people learning, like in an app and an ecosystem, then everyone's just going to stay at that level of education. So we want to be able to get you through the forum, we want to get you through the contribution, we want to get you to the end of your ICO, we want you to do it on Etherparty, and we want to have people there for you. So that's what you're going to get.
Just today, like one of our users sent us their private key, thinking it was their address. So like we're telling them, listen, this is not how it works. Of course, we didn't take their funds or anything like that, but we instructed them how to move it out and what to do with it. But this happens more often than you expect. We get those support emails all the time, and we want to make sure that we answer them.
And so just so you guys know, for all of that, the full suite of services that Rocket's going to provide, it's actually really well priced at only about $100,000. So that makes the contest that we're offering even that much more valuable to anybody out there looking to do a crowdfund. Come to Etherparty, apply. Maybe it's you. So next question is, what are your estimates of the number of projects coming over from Vanbex? So that's really simple. Any project that Vanbex does that needs token creation and all the services that Etherparty does will go through Etherparty. So the answer is every single one. Eucario Matos asks, are the prices for your services on the beta version the actual final prices once the final version is released? We just touched on prices, so the answer is no. The beta prices were just a representation so people could understand how to pay and use the product. Michelle, how will you prevent scammers from using your system to create ICOs? Any KYC will be done. Can all kind of answer this one. So yeah, I mean, we're going to put forward our best efforts to make sure that we're launching only reputable products and projects from Etherparty. We will do KYC on the people who are launching the products. We will have proper guidance and suggestions built into sign-offs and everything that we can possibly do to prevent scammers from using Etherparty. Patrick?
Yeah, if one of the crowdfund creators, oh my, there's so much happening here. If one of the crowdfund creators wants to have a KYC on every single one of their contributors or for the crowdfund, we do provide that KYC whitelist where you can just add those addresses and whitelist them on the contract, and so others are not able to contribute. So you know exactly where the funds are going and who's giving them out. And then as we go deeper into more features, then there's the full-on, when we get to security tokens in one, it goes also to the full-on transferring between two people that are known, which is quite important actually for that.
Sure. Yeah, this is actually like the part I care the most about probably because I loved crypto before I started working in it, and I don't like seeing the attitude toward it change, and I don't like that very little is being done to make people be ethical and responsible. I think this is probably I touched on it before, but I think this is like my biggest crusade here at this company is to get like the reverse the risk. I think that if we can make contracts that reverse the risk inherently, then we prevent scammers. If the token controllers can release the funds and they don't get released in the beginning, well, then that's actually baked into the blockchain that there are no scammers. We can do KYC, we can do this all day long, but at the end of the day, the current token model and the current crowdfund model is unsustainable, and it's just not going to really work in the long term. That's why you see ICOs launching 10 a day now that people don't have any interest in them, is because they've been burnt and nothing was changed, and you don't get burnt twice. So I think that we should be really thinking about, and we are, how to solve this at a blockchain level as well.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? So just to, I guess, touch on what Jeff had been saying, when we first started doing token sales, we actually had set milestones where the funds were only released once a milestone was reached, and there were multi-signature signers that also had to agree that that milestone was reached. We moved away from that as an industry, and I think that we should almost be bringing it back from a smart contract level. And I think that we'll get there, but the industry as well has to recognize that these types of checks and balances need to be in place to prevent things like scammers taking advantage of what's happening.
Okay. So, as you can see, guys out there, like our whole team is completely passionate about this technology and seeing it survive and be adopted to the masses. So, I mean, you can count on us to do everything that we can to uphold the integrity of this industry. So we've got some new questions that have come in. Another one from Jeffrey, who is an amazing community supporter. So I want to thank you, Jeffrey. You've been here for a long time. You continue to, praise our product, ask great questions, and you're always involved. And we want to thank anybody in our community who's continuing to be involved. And I personally just kind of went back in there the last little bit, and even Lisa did, to try to reconnect with you guys as much as we can. We apologize if we can't be in there as much as possible, but we are head down building this company to be successful for everyone. So Jeffrey asks, how far along are you with the AFM, so Canadian SEC, about the legally binding of the smart contracts as well as the legal firms for being the third party in certain contracts? So coincidentally enough, we were the first company to ever start talking to the BCSC about ICOs and about being regulated and about possibly the difference between a security token or a utility token or a currency or a debt instrument. And we're far along with those talks, and the BCSC has been great. They're very open. They want this industry. They want to support this industry, and we're working with them constantly to basically bring out the best mandates that we can to further the adoption of this industry and hopefully make BC kind of almost like Crypto Valley. We want all blockchain companies to come here. That's why we're still here and we're growing. We believe in it. We believe we're going to get the proper support from our regulators and our governments here. But it is a process, and it's one that we're working diligently on. So next question, same from Jeffrey, is what's the main reason to postpone the mainnet launch by 3 months? Finishing touches or still some big hurdles to take? Let these guys talk about it, but I think it still speaks to the betas and stuff that we've been having and making it more in line with what we want to do and easy to use for everyone.
I'd like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so the beta last year, it was obviously a proof of concept. It was written in JavaScript, full stack, which obviously is, if you know much about programming, it's not a typed language. It's not the most reliable language to use for something like this, but it's definitely great for prototyping. After the ICO, we started to really build a team, and I think it took a bit longer than anticipated to find some really capable people, but we have them now, and we've rewritten it in Go. We use the Go Ethereum client directly and things like this. We've made a lot of big technological changes that are really benefiting us now, and they take time to get going. But once you have a team trained on these kind of things, it's much easier to iterate. We've also had some a bit of flip-flopping on the contracts themselves, like we've been, as we said, about the DAICO and things like this. Right now we've decided to launch with the utility token. We'd like to follow that up with security token, and we'd like to keep pushing that out. But obviously, thinking about contracts is very iterative, right? It's not something that's like you Google the answer. You really have to think about it, and it's forward thinking and it's pushing. So giving a deadline on it is quite hard. I think our original deadline was the end of March, and I think that I hope that we'll be able to get out in May, and I think the product's going to be a lot better for it. I know everybody who's delaying a product says that, but I think it's true.
Yeah, also here, as you said, we started with a prototype, and then now we're actually building the platform where all the other contracts in the future will be using to deploy. So this is like the first big milestone that we have to reach to, and to be able to iterate faster and be able to have more products, more features, and more contracts. Also, just in general, like we also want to make sure that we cover all of our bases and make sure that everything is as secure as possible, tight down, and then we revisit everything that we've done, because this is crypto. There's a good amount of money involved here. We want to make sure that it's perfect, that there's no exploits possible, and we're putting a lot of effort on that. So it's software. It's hard to estimate exactly, but that's some of the main reasons.
Next question. Thanks, guys. Really good. Next one's from Shid Marks. Where do you see Etherparty in 3 years? So for me, I mean, I'll let everybody kind of answer this, but for me, I see Etherparty as like the Google of blockchain. You want to search for everything on the internet. A lot of people need a search engine. Etherparty, you want to do anything on a blockchain, you're going to need an easy-to-use application on any blockchain to build any type of smart contracts. And that, to me, will be Etherparty in the next 3 years.
Yeah, on my part, first of all, it's not going to be Etherparty anymore. It's going to be a different name.
Etherparty for now.
Sure.
We don't know what that name is yet.
So at the very least, I hope the community comes up with an amazing name. I want that person to win the 10,000 fuel. Yeah. Exactly as you said. So I see it as, think of what Consensus is right now, but with full end products that are easy to use. Right now, Consensus is one of the leaders in the sense of getting a lot of open source projects out. They're helping a lot with tooling, which we also are adding that to our roadmap, making sure that we provide a lot of open source code. But we want to have as many products out there on many different verticals, and ones that we care about and that the community cares about. I think we're going to be pretty massive in general. I think I'm really excited personally for the charity platform that we want to build, helping charities actually fundraise using blockchain, and also all the partnerships that stem from that. I'm really excited to see where we're going in those next 3 years for sure.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, I hope we're industry leaders. I really hope we are. I think we're working towards it. I hope that in 3 years we're trusted and people continue to use the products we're making, and that all of this isn't in vain, and that we can revitalize an industry and help to do it and be part of the solution. And all these great decentralization. There's all these anarchists around the world who love it for this reason. There's investors who love it for this reason. I hope we can make a product that can bridge a gap, and we can talk about how awesome this decentralized technology is, and we can all get what we want out of it and together. And I hope we can do that.
I think Etherparty in 3 years will be the ultimate end user tool for anything blockchain. I believe and I firmly foresee that we'll have hundreds of thousands active daily sign-ins within the application itself. We'll have almost hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of actual smart contracts deployed upon the live blockchain through Etherparty, whatever it may be called in the future. And we'll continue iterating on that so that we can become the Google blockchain and the ultimate usable tool for anyone interested in using blockchain for any reason.
Okay. So next question is from Leo DeSmit. What do you think will be the main uses for Etherparty's easy-to-use smart contract platform? Everybody's probably got their own kind of assumption of what that is or should be or what we like. I guess I'll go with mine. I mean, I think one of the biggest use cases for smart contracts is supply chain management. I think that's going to be a big one. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to let these guys kind of say what they want.
Yeah, on my end, I think just in general, anything that comes to escrow and having a contractual agreement between two people with specific rules when we disperse those tokens, let's say, or the Ethereum or the Ether. One of them that I've been trying to use with one of my landlords is he doesn't want to accept the crypto, but anyways, is a smart contract where essentially I disperse rent every single month. He doesn't want to do that because he says that the price is too volatile. I don't disagree, but I'm really trying to push for that. And I see that as being quite interesting. Also, just for an entrepreneur, whenever they're, let's say, employed by a company or just they have a small contract with a company, them being able to have this escrow and know that the funds are there, and them knowing that they'll be able to be paid, I think that's pretty powerful already. So that's something that I foresee. Well, that's one of my main use cases, at least.
Yeah, I think I've ranted enough about the DAICO. That's really my joie de vivre here.
I think the main thing behind smart contracts, I know this will be broad, is automation. We'll start to see a workforce that's really relying upon an automated and Internet of Things kind of future. And behind that, we'll need a form of checks and balances. And smart contracts can be the method by which we can automate processes, but also have a check and a balance to ensure that they're done properly.
And yes, we're planning on all of that to be done on Etherparty in the future. So the next question is from Rewind 2424. Seeing the new release date of May, June, are you guys planning on just delaying or also adding more features than planned for April? And that answer is we're adding tons of more features as the landscape has changed. As you guys know, blockchain has been changing so much over the past couple of months, especially when it comes to token sales, and we want to make sure that we're ahead, we're not behind. So that's one of the main reasons for the delay there. Patrick, I don't know if you guys want to touch on that, Patrick or Jeff? No? That's no?
I can mumble a little bit.
Mumble a little bit? Not about a DAICO?
Yeah, blah, 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 DISO, blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, the other features are coming sort of like it's the contribution stuff was the big idea. We could have launched earlier. We could have just had basically what the beta does. I don't think the community would have been happy with that. I don't think we would have been happy with that. So the product team decided that this contribution stuff is really important, and the developers agreed, and the higher ups agreed, and we all sort of came together and said that if we can launch this together, then this has a use case. This platform has a real use case. Like, you can actually use it. You can stay on here to do your whole ICO. You don't need to leave. And if we didn't have the contribution stuff, I don't think you would have been able to do that. It wouldn't have been an end-to-end solution. We'd be leaving you hanging after you deploy the contract. So that's the main reason for the delay in terms of features.
Okay, so and we've addressed the launch date. So the next question is Casey God 1988. Do you plan on buying competitors? Well, I think most of these guys would kind of balk at the even assumption that we have any competitors in this space right now. There's people trying to do what we're doing, but as I think you've heard, we've been thinking this through much more robustly than our competitors, in our opinion. And it's awesome to have competitors in the marketplace. If the opportunity comes up to acquire a company instead of competing with them, and it benefits us and adds to us, we would definitely consider that. But it's not something in our current plan right now. Okay, so that's all the questions that we have so far. So now I want to move to, let me ask our tech guys over here. I want to kind of show you guys a little snippet of the roadmap that we kind of have out, so you guys can see that we have had some questions about the roadmap. So we're going to display that. And for the roadmap, I guess I will let kind of Patrick and Jeff kind of talk through the roadmap once it gets up. What's up? Okay.
Let's wait until it actually shows up here so we see it. I can just put it on my computer. Yeah, please.
Yep.
There you go. Beauty. Start with the first one.
Okay.
First one.
Perfect.
Awesome. So as you guys all know, we had we created a beta and that we released back in October for the public. What we did on the beta essentially is that we added RSK. So we were working quite a bit with the guys at RSK, which is quite amazing. They're really fun guys. We actually met them in Colombia. They're really, really amazing people. So we worked with them just to make sure that everything was nice and easy for us to be able to deploy all of our contracts, and then it would work perfectly and seamlessly for a user. So on the beta itself, if you look at it, you just have to click a button to essentially change the network. That was not necessarily product. Product gave me some trouble from the fact that that's not good UI UX, but anyways, it worked out and we were able to deploy those products. Afterwards, yeah, so from the demo, from everything that we learned from there and all the feedback and user feedback that we got, that's when we started re-architecturing the whole thing. If you can change the slide to the second one. Right, so at that point, that's when Jeff here, our main lead developer here, our architecture guy, re-engineered essentially our application, and we made a lot of decision on how to make it more extensible, how to make it so we can have, this is for the platform itself, how we can have more contracts that come out and have more products from that platform. So this is the bulk of the work that has been happening. You want to little things?
Yeah, so about the platform itself and what the time's actually been spent on, because it's easy to say, we've been doing a rebuild, but what have you actually been doing? We have a Go microservice architecture now, so it's really cool. We put a lot of work into making it international, having our platform work in China, having a scalable database, using something like CockroachDB. We're investigating now to make this international and auto-scalable. We've had the time after the ICO before the launch to really do this properly, so we took a step back and we thought about it. We said, well, how is this going to work? You know, if we have a system that needs to be a compiler and a system that needs to be a signer, and these systems have tiny little tasks and they can be really good at doing these tasks, and this is a really good architecture for something like this. And you know, if we need to use the private key in the app in order to deploy and interact with the contract, then the smallest viable service should have access to that private key. And so these have been really the concerns that we've been taking, because the beta was just a proof of concept, and none of these concerns were addressed. And so these are the big things that when I came in I wanted to look at and have looked at, and now we feel confident in. And I think it's really easy to make progress now and add new features to the app, because the blockchainy stuff for the current blockchains that we use is really tight, and it's really good.
Right. So with the development of the platform itself, then we move on to the product itself, Rocket, the first one, the ICO creator. This is where there was a lot of research done and a lot of design from product for it to make it as easy to use as possible, for people to understand what is going on behind it, and for people to also be able to contribute. So this one really focused on the product design aspect of it. So that creation, essentially, we redid the front end we did the front end for the ICO creator. We hit a lot of snags when it came to just the UI and UX. The developers and the designers sat down together to talk it through and see how we can make it easier for the user. We're very happy where with this is going. We've created a really, really easy to use one where actually there's user testing that's been happening right now. More looking towards the future, we're looking, so right now we have a utility token that you can deploy, and there can be a whitelist on it and whatnot. We're also going towards the security token route where we provide all the guidance needed and also provide all of the tech needed for you to be able to deploy security tokens in the future. That one's a big one that we're working quite a bit on. And then going further into the features that we're going to have is, of course, more on the security token aspect. Dividends, dispersing dividends to all token holders, voting, so a voting contract for voting on a quarterly basis or yearly basis for the company. And so on this slide, as you see with the MVP, so this is what we decided the MVP had to have for sure. One of them has to be the contribution, so all the users are able to contribute. So it has to be a full end-to-end solution where not only I can create a smart a crowdfund, I can also market it to people and be like, hey, listen, my crowdfund is there. Here's the address. We want to contribute, and someone can come on Etherparty and contribute from there. Do you want to add something to the market side? Yeah. So there's still lots to be done on there, but we're very close to the MVP at this point.
Perfect.
Can we move on to the other one?
Next one, supply chain.
Beauty, that one's a big one. So we have a POC at this point on supply chain that we've created in-house. One of our developers here painstakingly was working on that, and it's actually working on Hyperledger. We've been doing quite a bit of research and outreach for partnerships with different companies that know supply chain. We here, we're developers and we don't know supply chain that well. We actually are partnering with industry experts to look at what their problems are and where we can help them. So our solutions right now, the first one at the very least is on Hyperledger, and we're actually spinning up an R&D team to keep going with that first product and go with others that our partner essentially told us that there's a lot more pain points out there, and we know how to solve them at this point.
Let me just talk this a little bit on the partnerships part of the supply chain. So that's kind of on me. We will be announcing it soon, just if you guys are wondering. It's just the paperwork process that has to go through legal to make sure that we can announce some of these great partnerships that we'll have, and then we'll start showing some of the supply chain contracts that we have out there. But yeah, that's in our tool belt, and something that we can't wait to show you guys when it's ready.
Yeah, and again, I mean, with this, right now it says we have a POC, of course, in development starting in the future, but that development also means, product design, making sure that we know who the stakeholders are and how they use their solutions right now, and we want to be the leaders of in this, so we want to push the boundaries of what they can do and change how they interact, essentially, with the supply chain and how they can actually, we can make it more efficient for everyone in there. That one speaks a bit way more to my heart. I'm really interested in this one. So we actually created a very small POC that was the Vancouver blockchain drive in December. Well, it was a simple contract for charity. And on this one, we have the first POC. We're looking at also from that R&D team for them to be able to go and spin off a whole product out of this. But essentially what our aim is to really make it easy for charities to accept crypto. Because one of the main things that we got from our Vancouver blockchain drive was that when we got to the charity and we had the crypto in the ledger, they're like, we can't accept this. I don't know how to accept this. So we had to change it to fiat and then give it to them. And I find that absolutely crazy and horrendous that I can't do that. Also, just tracking where that money goes and what happens to it and tracking the different projects that they have. That's something that definitely needs attention. And so that's one that we're going to be developing very soon and getting more research and development for that.
Fully transparent giving done through Etherparty and its contracts. Anything else to add to that roadmap, guys, before we kind of move on to the next?
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Yeah? Okay.
I just want to say this is a pretty short-term roadmap because blockchain changes a lot, and we're trying to be really agile with regards to it. So we're trying to iterate. We're trying to make sure that our products are for today and tomorrow and not yesterday. So I know a lot of companies have like a 3 and 5 year roadmap, and sometimes I scoff at that, and I think, how could you possibly? Because it just isn't that market. So when you look at something like this, we're trying to get this product out, and we have the smaller R&D team. Then that team is iterating, and they're working on the supply chain contract that we just talked about and the charity contract. And that R&D team will be the team that iterates and solves problems. And if we can validate this in the market, we can find out whether this is worth going and turning it into a real product in Etherparty. And so the roadmap is going to be constantly updated. We post our developer updates to Medium really frequently. I think about every 2 weeks, and they're really just what we're doing and what we're thinking about. So the best way to keep tabs on us is through the developers update.
Thanks. So yeah, more to Jeff's point, guys. I know we've got some comments out there that we haven't really updated the website or the white paper or the roadmap that you just touched on. And that's because blockchain is really agile. I mean, we're developing faster than we can really write it down, and to put it and write it down is going to take time from our development. But we will get there. We're going to update you guys more and more, be very cognizant to be fully transparent with everything that we're doing, because it's some really great stuff here. So that's it for the roadmap for right now. The next thing that kind of just want to show, just to show you guys just a little bit, get you a little bit of excitement here going on, is we're going to put up a screenshot of our supply chain contract that's kind of built on Hyperledger right now. So what you're seeing right now is just the simple kind of database front end that constitute a supply chain contract where you can send an integer from one person, from sender to receiver. You can put that integer into escrow and also set conditions on that so that you can have a full supply chain sort of contract end to end. So this is the start of it, just to kind of show you guys just a little bit. We will be showing more as time goes on. Don't know if either of you guys want to touch on it a little bit, but we don't really have to.
Still very young.
Still very young. Okay, yeah, that's true. It is still very young. But as you can see, there's lots happening in our pipeline that we've been developing. So I think looking at the questions and everything here, that is all we have for this AMA. If anybody ever has any questions, you guys can reach out to CryptoBubble in Telegram. You can reach out to Kagan on our support channel. Lisa and myself are always available. We might not answer right away, but we're always available. If you guys want to email us with any questions, we'll leave the developers alone for the most part, but they're always kind of putting their 2 cents in and available to help out anybody in the community at any time. For myself, I just want to say, and from everyone at Etherparty, thank you very much for joining this AMA, asking the questions that you did. We're going to try to have some more of these. And, keep up supporting Etherparty. It's a great product, and there's lots of great things coming out. I mean, that's all from me. If anybody else wants to close off.
I just want to say earlier on, Kevin mentioned that any prospective marketer should send an email. Same goes for developers. We're looking for talented people in any field. If you're interested in blockchain, you think you'd be a good fit, and you really care, then send us an email, and especially if you're in Vancouver.
Yeah. We're always hiring.
Now I gotta say, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm gonna try to be more on the community. I know we've been really working hard at developing off platform, getting it off. I will give you this. I'll be on the community once a week now, at the very least. This is something I've been missing, and you guys are so funny and amazing. So I definitely have to go back. And if ever, just DM me directly on Telegram. I think it's at Patrick Gay. So just go for it. That'll be it for me.
Just wanted to say that it was really great touching on what Patrick was saying way back earlier about Token Fest, and hearing and seeing people come up to the booth and knowing that they're super excited about Etherparty and that they're already waiting and eager to use it. That made us super excited as well. And I guess my closing statement is, may the fuel be with you.
So nerdy. So good.
Thanks. Kevin, what's your favorite Lord of the Rings quote? Can you even read?